Alright, so in order to constrain something like the pencil and have it sort of tipped over in a sort of natural looking fashion, but also constraining it for the sake of an animation in Inventor Studio, you can't just do face constraints like you normally would, even with offsets, and even using the origin planes, because if you did face or plane constraints, they would break when you try to tip them over. So the way we're going to do this was very similar to the way we made the king tip over for the chess set, where we had one plane that actually was a face constraint or a plane constraint, and then instead of having the plane that goes the other way, we're going to use an axis that is perpendicular to the one that we use, the first one, but that axis needs to be constrained to both the surface, the horizontal surface, and the remaining vertical surface. And then there'll be an angle constraint to tip it over to make it look natural, and that angle constraint will be the one that you use to animate it. So we'll start by doing an offset constraint from one of its origin planes, since the pencil doesn't really have any flat surfaces or perfect horizontal surfaces. And mate or flush at this point doesn't really matter, and we'll do an offset to get it close to the center, and we can always adjust that. I think it might be negative. Let's see which way to. Okay, it's negative. That puts it close to the center. Then instead of centering it with this plane, predict offset to there, this is the one that would break if we try to do a angle constraint. So instead of doing it to this plane, we're going to do it to this axis. So we are going to constrain. We can turn on predict offset. If you're going to use that predict offset, you can just look at it two-dimensionally and line it up the height that you want it, and then it'll put in the offset of wherever it is. So we're going to constrain, leave offset on, and use the axis that's going perpendicular to the first plane we used, or rather the first constraint we made was to the back. So the axis we need to use is the one that points at it, which is this one. And we have predict, predict offset and orientation, mate, and we'll mate it to there. And even though it moves over, it's still the same height off, so we'll hit OK. And at this point, it still tilts and it slides. So first we're going to get rid of the slide. We're going to use the same axis, which in this case was the y-axis. Constrain, mate, predict offset, and that same axis, but in this time to the side. Hit OK, and it spins around that axis at this point. And so now we want to make it look at a naturally jaunty angle, which it probably would be leaning against the edge, but something that looks natural is close enough. And so we need to do an angle constraint. Constrain, angle, first solution, leave on, predict, and offset, and find which of the pencil's origin planes looks like it would sort of flap down to the surface, which in this case is going to be that first one, the YZ. This one, and so that's your first selection, and then the second selection is the horizontal surface. And for some reason it does occasionally flip, which is fine. Just switch the angle to a negative and hit OK. And now when you go to animate this, Inventor Studio, not sure if I already have something on here. Yeah, I probably do. Alright, all this is in the other video. Alright, so to animate this, remember when we record this, we are animating everything out and then recording in reverse. So to make this go out, we need to have it go up towards the front, back down, and then tilt flat. So we are going to go to the pencil constraints, find the constraint that's holding it off the ground, which is this one. Right click, animate constraint, and right now we need to get it up above the cup, so let's just go something biggish like 6, and whatever, it doesn't matter how long the time duration is because you can adjust it. Let's specify, there we go, and hit OK. And so we've got it going up off the ground. We need to go towards the front, which is this first constraint we made. And right now that's -2, so it probably needs to go to like -14 or so. And let's have that go from start at like 12 seconds. Hit OK. We'll have to tidy up the timeline. Okay, need to have it go back down, which is that first constraint that we animated. Animate constraint. Let's have it go back down to like 0 maybe. Hit OK. And so it goes up towards the front, back down, and we need to flatten it out, so we are going to animate the angle constraint. If that's 113, it's probably going to be 90 or -90. Let's see what that does. You of course can always adjust it and hit OK. So nope, it's not -90, it's probably 0. Let's find that constraint. That's this one. Right click, edit, and instead of going to -90, let's have it go to 0. And it does look like 0 makes it flat, but flat the other way. We could just go to 180 or -180. That's fine. And let's see here. We probably shorten this one a little bit, make it look better. And this is the one coming back down, and this is the tilt, and we can have those probably happen at the same time. And I do think it'd be better to have it go the other way. So instead of from, no, not that one. Instead of from -113, let's go to -180. It should tilt it over the other way, good. And so now it goes up towards the front and down, and the down and the tilt happen at the same time. And when we record this, we're going to record it backwards, so you can just test it by playing backwards. And that looks pretty good. I don't really like the gap. I want it to look a little more natural, so I'll have the movements overlap a little bit. And let's see what that looks like. There you go. And the same thing is this. It's the same process for animating anything else that doesn't have perpendicular square faces. You can do like with the scissors. You're just going to use the scissors' origin planes, one plane perpendicular to the back, and one of the horizontal axes that's perpendicular to that, and follow the same process as one face, two axes plane constraints, and an angle constraint. And that's it.